Can you imagine how many millions of dollars this is costing? How many millions is this costing, Ted?
Millions and millions of dollars, obviously, are the cost of this.
And who's paying for it?
Has to be the government.
No, it has to be the people. You're wrong.
Well, the people, but the government's using their money to pay for the fuel and the poison that they're dropping on us to kill us.
We're in another war, World War III, for the minds of America's masses. A friend of mine and I have been working on this for a period of years. Initially, when I met him, he was head of the FBI in Los Angeles. He had been head of the FBI in Dallas and Memphis, an agent for 27.5 years. He was a friend of my mother's, and well, my mother, though a wonderful, wonderful woman, was quite naive, and I didn't have a great deal of respect for the FBI, as I called it. So Ted at that time didn't become a close personal friend. He is now. Oh, I'm talking about Ted Gunderson, the man that has joined with me in many ventures, from Area 51 to conversations about the privately owned Federal Reserve System. And recently I was at a convention in Los Angeles, and Dr. Lynn Horowitz was there. Well, I had just formed Aircrap with a friend of mine, aircrap.org, and we were doing a film about Air Auschwitz, about the toxic poisons that are coming down upon us from all over the planet. I wanted to get a clip from the fellow I consider to be a friend, Dr. Lynn Horowitz. Lynn is a real sweet guy. I've always thought of him as that way. I've always considered him to be a friend. He's done 17 or so books, great researcher, and puts most of the pieces together. When I met him, he was married. I guess recently got a divorce. And I had gone into the convention hall, and here's this lady I guess he's been hitting on or having an association with. I guess they're now partners to some degree in his activities. Talked to a woman named Sherry. Trying to think, is Shelley? Well, anyhow, Sherry Kane. Sherry Kane. I'm getting the information here. And she didn't want me to do an interview with Lynn because she thought he was being set up. I said, because I was a friend of Ted Gunderson, she thought that Ted and I was trying to set him up on some sort of sting. I don't quite get how a 45-second clip talking about the nanoparticulates within the death drops would be a sting, but that's what she has stated in an article, and I take a look in a paper, in the web paper here, and we see this. Oh, it's Ted Gunderson and myself. Ted, former head of the FBI in Los Angeles, and myself, and we're labeled as agent provocateurs. Him, an agent provocateur for the FBI, which the FBI has been out of for 20 years or more, and they hate him because he's exposing the crimes that they're involved in. In fact, in 1995, we talked about them being involved in the cover-up of the 1993 explosions that occurred at the World Trade Center. In fact, that they actually came up with the money to buy the bomb that went into the building which was unsuccessful in bringing it down. And in our conversation that day, we were doing a film called Reichstag 95. We said that the FBI would be coming back again to do it again. Talking about it in 1995. That's 2 years after the first bomb blast. And 6 years before the World Trade Center was hit again. So when it was hit again, I got a call from Ted, and he says, they've done it. And I said, I know. I'm already on it. He says, what? He says, I'm already making a film. I started making the film the moment that I heard that this building had been hit. Because I knew that the FBI and the CIA and all of the NSA and government agencies, not working for you, but working against you to frighten the public into accepting a world government, was in the process of scaring America, terrorizing America, into believing that we were under attack from a foreign nation, from the Arabs, from some camel jockey and some people who couldn't fly, couldn't fly much more than a Piper Cub. Some of them couldn't even drive a car, but they were supposed to have taken over these flights and attacked the World Trade Center. But that's another story. The first film we did was Illuminati 911. Ted was involved with it, and we hit it. But this Sherry, or Shelley? Shelley or Sherry? Sherry. Jewish girl, been married to a fellow back in Philadelphia, had a restaurant, and I guess she was waiting tables and doing quite well with her business. But they'd gotten a divorce, and she was most likely looking for somebody to get involved with, and she met Lynn Horowitz. Lynn is a handsome guy, fit, mentally, physically. Anyhow, they're now an item. In fact, she asked me, she said, did I think that she was an item with Ted? And I said, yeah, I think he's poking you, kid. Yeah. That's the truth of the matter. Lynn was porking her. Yeah. But that's all right. You know, guys are going to be guys, and most all of us have had an affair, one or two or more during our lives, with someone they felt attractive. And Sherry's not bad to look at. She's, if average is 5, then she'd be a 6, 6.5. And Lynn found her attractive, I'm sure. Is she the brightest girl in the world? Well, I don't know. But she felt that he was being molested. There's some sort of conspiracy to kill him was afloat. And somehow she's picked out Ted Gunderson, who's one of the sweetest guys you'll ever meet, and trying to save this country, and myself, because I'm a friend of Ted's, as conspirators. And she said, well, you know this Michael Aquino? And I said, no, I don't know Michael Aquino. That's the Church of Satan, or, you know, whatever was going on. Ted's done investigations of all of these groups and talked to people. Has he met some ladies that have come off from those associations? Sure. Did he have an affair with somebody? I don't know. It really doesn't make any difference. But she's got him associated in some way as being some sort of a satanic image over there in the background, coming out to, you know, take care of Horowitz. Well, in fact, in her piece here about us being, Ted and I, long ago having been infiltrating the activist movement. I don't know whether she knows what the activist movement is, but she wasn't around when this activist movement, or this activist, got started. I don't think that Sherry realizes that I put out the first expose of the Illuminati, Council on Foreign Relations, in the history of the world. I assume sometime around the time that she was being born, but I certainly wouldn't be a provocateur for the Central Intelligence Agency, which was the enforcement arm of the CFR, the Council on Foreign Relations, at 58 East 68th Street in New York City. But when somebody wants to be associated with a man, like Monica Lewinsky wanted to be associated with the President of the United States, she offers him favors, and Bill Clinton found Monica Lewinsky in some way attractive, in the same manner that Horowitz finds Sherry Kane attractive. That's all right. I understand that. It's perfectly acceptable, Lynn. Lynn, I still consider a friend. But there's a thing going on here, this conspiracy thing about Ted and Lynn. And I wanted to bring it to a close. I wanted to bring it to a head, to lance the boil. So I got Ted on the phone at the convention, and I'm saying to her, I said, look, let's settle this little thing. Let's put Ted and Lynn on the phone together. And when I talked to Ted about it, he says, no, I don't want to talk to that guy. You know, he's part of the other, on the other side. Well, I don't believe Lynn's on the other side. Well, certainly Ted is not on the other side. But I wanted to put the two together anyhow. As I'm having this conversation, I'm looking over there at the booth, Lynn's booth. Here's somebody I do know, who had invited me to Hawaii to speak with Jordan Maxwell years ago. We'd gone over to, and this is part of the story, because this woman is talking about conspiracies, and that I'm involved and Ted's involved in a conspiracy to take out, in fact, I think she said at one time, to murder Horowitz. I said, no, can't possibly be. But as I'm having this conversation, I'm taking a look over here at the lady who had invited me and Jordan Maxwell to speak. We were going to have an island tour from one island to another, to another, to another, and everything was being recorded meticulously. And wham, from one to the other, to another, to the other. I don't know how many thousands of dollars it was spent on that. Just in sending this equipment. It was like a rock star operation from Maui to Hawaii. All of these recordings were put together. She was sort of a Zoftic looking woman at the time, with big balloon breasts, and she'd asked me to stay over at her daughter's bedroom. Her daughter was moved out, which I did. And then at one time she said, well, just use my shower. Well, I used your shower. One day, she comes in, she says, I hear her voice come into the room. She said, this is a wide open shower, big window, and overlooking the exterior of the building. And it's why. She said, do you mind if I shower? I said, well, no, it's your bedroom. Go ahead. So she comes in, she takes off her clothes and comes in. Doesn't bother me. I hope I didn't bother her, so I shower and towel down and go into the other room, get dressed. Before I was about to leave, her daughter, Summer, comes over and said, well, hey, my mother wants you to, to move into her room. She wants me to have my room again. And I said, well, you better tell your mother that that's not good for me. I'm not going to do that. I mean, I'll be happy to move upstairs so you can have your bedroom, but I'm not going to move in with your mother. So I told her no. And this is a day before, 2 days before we were about to leave. Somebody had invited me over to speak to them. He made that beautiful looking money that they put out in Hawaii, and they were involved in trying to create a currency in opposition to the Federal Reserve. And the woman that was I had seen, who had invited me over to Hawaii, was the same woman that was sitting over there in the booth. Lynn Horowitz's booth. And this fellow told me the story that this Zoftig lady, she looks like she could have played for a woman's football team. Strong. Sort of almost like a cartoon character. We went out to the beach one time. She says, you don't mind if I go topless, do you? And she goes out there. Anyhow, I rejected that. But as I was talking to this gentleman who had built up this wonderful currency and this idea of putting forth the currency in opposition to the Federal Reserve, said that this woman, Ivy, had worked with him and his wife for, I don't know, months. Stayed there, lived there, did everything, was part of a team. And then, she left. One day there was a raid. Wham! The police were there, or the feds were there, and they were coming into the building here and there, and they were everywhere. And she comes in and she says, we got you now. I think she had one finger rather than two. That was the story I was told. Oh, Ivy, he said, was an agent. For us, we the people? No, the Fed, as I understand it. But then, that's just a story. I have no way of validating that unless I went back and followed through. But I'm looking, as I'm talking to Sherry, I'm looking over at the booth, and here's this lady who's at least accused of being an agent for the federal government. Somebody who's actually infiltrated, like Sherry said that I was infiltrating this conservative expose movement. Well, Sherry didn't realize it. My films initiated much of the movement, because it was 1967 when I produced the Illuminati CFR records. Maybe 18,000 people around the world knew about them then. Now, there's in excess of 1 billion. So, this story about infiltrating the CIA and FBI is crazy. Absolutely crazy. But listen, I know how important it is for somebody who's not known in life, who's a dishwasher or a waitress or something, and they see a man that they like, they want to get an attachment. And she's got an attachment with Lynn Horowitz. And I don't blame Lynn a bit, not a single bit. Nor would I blame Ted for hitting on somebody, and one of the people that he did investigations with. Most we guys are men. That's how it is. Sometimes, and I think it's probably the case with Lynn, that he was thinking with his little head rather than his big one. But men are accused of that, and it's true. It's true. Often it is. And how would I rate this Sherry Kane as an investigative reporter? Well, everybody has to start somewhere. I mean, a cub reporter starts at the Junior College Gazette. And they think, well, if they incorporate them into the story, and it's this big, huge conspiratorial story, and it's to try to protect Lynn Horowitz from some sudden death or whatever. More power to her. You know, I mean, we're all trying to reach somewhere in life. Doesn't seem like a bad woman. I don't think she's bright enough to work for the CIA. Of course, I didn't think that the woman sitting over in Horowitz's booth was bright enough to be an agent. But then I'd heard this story that she'd been arrested for something and was in prison, and they gave her a lesser period of time if she would work for them. And sometimes that's true. I don't know. But if this story continues, I'm going to find out. Because it's not Anthony J. Hilder who's been infiltrated by the bad guys or is part of the CIA. It may be Horowitz. In fact, I tried to bring that. I wanted to talk to Sherry about that, because she said she was partnering with him. And you know, I've taken a look at the story here. So it gets on page after page after page, and it talks about all of this stuff. And I'm getting to think about this. Is there some sort of sting? Is there some sort of move to knock out or injure aircraft.org? Oh, Sherry says we're presenting nothing new. This has all been out before, and it's not new information. And rather than helping the cause, we're hurting it. Trying to bring suspicion. Oh, and in this article, she talks about another friend of mine that I guess Ted was not really a part of, but a story about Alex Jones. And she's got Alex Jones having interviewed her and Lynn Horowitz. Now she's talking bad about Alex Jones. And in this little thing that she has, she's got a picture of another guy that I know and I like and who likes my stuff. And you say, well, he's not a good guy. He's a movie star, but he should be attacked for some of his personal doings. And I don't care whether this man, his name is Charlie Sheen, and they got a picture of Charlie and Alex here, and somehow they're bad. Alex is somehow worse because of Charlie, because maybe Charlie likes the whores and maybe likes to do coke or whatever. I believe in freedom. But I'll say one thing about Charlie Sheen. He's smart enough to know that 911 was an inside job. Yeah. And he's talking about it. And she's bad rapping them. Maybe it's the 911 thing that bothers her, or if she was working for somebody else. But it's hard for me to believe that she's smart enough, or they would be dumb enough to hire somebody with the intellect of this Sherry Kane to do this. And she talks about my Free World Alliance here. There's some information about that, and she says, well, the guy who's behind this, and she mentions the guy who I've never heard of, somebody named Alex Beck. I never heard of Alex Beck. I don't know who Alex Beck is. I created the Free World Alliance. I wrote the Free World Manifesto. I created the Illuminati CFR records, maybe before Sherry was born. And she, as a cub reporter, is trying to put all of these things together to make Ted Gunderson, who is the sweetest, loveliest, nicest guy in the world. She says, oh, well, he has cancer. He's dying with cancer. No, Ted isn't dying with cancer. He's living with cancer, trying to cure it. And she's saying that, you know, I'm a Jew. Well, that's going to be a real surprise to my grandfather, who was a Christian minister, Southern Baptist. She says I'm a self-denying Jew. That's even worse. Because she's Jewish, and she says, you're a self-denying Jew. I can tell you're a self-denying Jew. And she says, look, you look like a Jew, you smell like a Jew. And says, you know, I guess, do Jews have a smell? I didn't know. But this is just the beginning of a story that's going to continue. I hope not long. I hope I don't have to sue her, but I will. Damn right I will. I'm not going to allow my friends to be libeled, slandered, with stories that are so preposterous. I mean, about even the Free World Alliance. I don't even know who she's talking about. I created the site years ago. Actually, Ted didn't create aircraft.org, but he's a party to it, to exposing the greatest crime that's being conducted against the planet in the history of the world. We're doing something that nobody else has done. And we will continue. But it was necessary that I stop for just one moment to tell you what this story is all about. See, I'm affected by it. You're all affected by it. You have to breathe this dung, these toxin poisons. It has to be stopped. And we need your help to change it. To incite a revelation that will awaken the world in time to save the world. Ted Gunderson and myself and others who are with this website believe that this is essential, that we must prepare to win or prepare to die. This is Anthony J. Hilder. Like MacArthur said, I shall return.